People are wondering what can they do? What can they do, to prepare themselves for what's coming down the pipeline? I mean, let's face it. There's so much uncertainty in the economy right now. Most American families are in a position where they're not ready to weather the storm that is coming. Now, I'm not Mr. Doomsday guy. I am Mr. Opportunity guy. I'm a big believer that, I'm licking my chops right now. All this stuff that's happening, all this talk of recession, all this talk of depression, that's got me smiling like the Cheshire Cat because of the fact that I'm a big believer that I'm the kind of person who's going to thrive through that. Hey, what's going on, cash flow hackers? It's Chris with Life 180, and for this video, I want to talk about how to profit during a recession. I know there's a lot of things going on right now. One of the conversations that is happening with me day in, day out with people that are commenting on my videos on TikTok, on Facebook, not even Facebook, on TikTok, I just got done having a conversation with somebody on Facebook, which I don't normally do, but on YouTube and TikTok for the most part. These are the comments that are happening. People are wondering what can they do? What can they do, to prepare themselves for what's coming down the pipeline? I mean, let's face it. There's so much uncertainty in the economy right now. Most American families are in a position where they're not ready to weather the storm that is coming. Now, I'm not Mr. Doomsday guy. I am Mr. Opportunity guy. I'm a big believer that, I'm licking my chops right now. All this stuff that's happening, all this talk of recession, all this talk of depression, that's got me smiling like the Cheshire Cat because of the fact that I'm a big believer that I'm the kind of person who's going to thrive through that. I'm going to catapult my wealth forward because I'm prepared for it, because I have the skills, the knowledge, the relationships, the community, the expertise to be able to take advantage of it when it comes. Now, if you're just somebody who, goes to work, has a job, comes home, does your shopping, watches Netflix after dinner, that kind of thing, and you're not really investing in other things, you're probably in for some hard times coming up. So what I want you to do is really think about what do you want to accomplish and what do you want your life to look like? And if there was an opportunity for you to have just an asymmetric return on what you're doing, the effort, the energy that you're putting into your life and what it can look like on the other side of this, what's it worth for you to do? So in this video, I want to break it down really, really cleanly, really succinctly, really simply, and talk to you about the 3 things that you need to do, that every single person needs to do right now. And I'm going to go through a little more detail in each thing, but the 3 things that you need to do to make sure you are prepared and ready to take advantage and put yourself in a position where you're going to be profitable and be able to thrive through the recession, even if you have no money right now, even if you are starting from a place of scarcity, even if you are starting from a place of not knowing how you're going to pay your bills in this very moment in time. I'm telling you, these are things that every single person in this world can do. It just takes time, dedication, and effort to go into it. So let's get into this. Now, the first thing, how to profit in a recession, is to invest in more skills and knowledge. I don't know you. I don't know your circumstances. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what your expertise or skill sets are. But what I do know, I'm going to just use me as an example. Now, maybe you're a computer programmer. Maybe you have another business and you can learn other skills. Here's the thing. What I'm doing is I'm looking at my network, right? So I'm looking at what skills and knowledge do I need to be building? Well, I have to think a little bit ahead of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain these after. So when I go, and I'm going to get into detail after, I should say. So I want to invest in skills and knowledge. And then the second thing I need to do is I need to discover problems that I can solve, right? And then, and the reason I'm doing this is because they're a little out of order. Then we need to execute when the time is right, right? So you need to be prepared, because the reason people don't execute when the time is right is because they're operating from a place of fear. They're operating from a place of scarcity and uncertainty. But the bottom line is, if we first and foremost start with discovering problems that you can solve, every single person in this world has problems you can solve. This is why I love real estate investing right now. Now, everybody's sitting here in the real estate market, and this is what I'm going to speak to in this video. Everybody's talking about the real estate market, what's going on in the world of real estate with the inventory coming up, with housing markets softening up a lot, interest rates going high, housing prices coming down, nobody really knowing what the future holds for the housing market, right? It's just part of a cycle. Now, here's the deal. I had an interview with Mike Wolf the other day, And in that, he said, listen, we're just like real estate investors. We're just like doctors, right? Doctors solve problems, right? And the bottom line is doctors need people to be sick. They need problems to happen. Otherwise, there wouldn't be as many doctors. Like it'd be this wonderful, beautiful, altruistic perspective of the world for the world to have no sick people, but then there'd be less doctors, right? It'd be wonderful to, have all these doctors have these jobs and never, you'd be able to go to work every single day. But at the end of the day, if nobody gets sick, these doctors have to go find different things to do with their job, right? Or, with their expertise and with their skill. So as real estate investors, the beautiful part I love about real estate is that no matter what, you can take advantage of every economy. The last 10 years, 15, 12 years maybe, has been amazing with buy and hold properties. It's been amazing with the appreciation in the market and being able to build cash flow and all these different things. And guess what? That will be amazing again. And if you've had your properties for long enough, it's going to continue to be amazing. If you don't have income right now, and if you don't have any assets, and if you don't have enough money saved up to be able to have that cash flow created for you, you have to figure out what problems do you solve and how can you go solve them. So let's think about what's going on in the world right now. Like, we don't want anybody to get sick, so I don't want to say I'm a big proponent of this, right? We don't want anybody to struggle, but at the end of the day, these markets go through cycles and people are going to struggle. That's just a natural function of the economy. It's a natural thing of a consequence of what we're going through right now. And so we know that real estate, I want to use a different color, sorry. We know that real estate right now is something that's on everybody's mind, right? So I'm just going to use real estate as an example of what skills do you need to learn to be able to serve people, to solve problems for people, and in turn, that'll profit you, right? So if you think about it right now, foreclosures have been really low. Like go back to 2008. Remember when short sales were a huge deal? And short sales, do they still exist? Yes, they do. When's the last time you heard of somebody having to take advantage of a short sale? Hasn't, right? So what happens is that was 12, 13 years ago that short selling was a thing. Are we going to run into that again? Maybe, maybe not. I don't think so. I don't think the housing market's going to get quite there as far as the upside down nature of equity in the properties that would enable that. But the bottom line is, it's just an example of a skill set. If you thought that was going to be a problem, you would want to go learn that skill set. You want to invest in your knowledge and expertise between these two things, right? So you understand you have that skill set, you identify the problem, you know how to go do it. It doesn't take any money for you to be able to go in and negotiate those deals. So this comes to the second thing, wholesaling. I know this is something that's talked about a lot right now on the internet, and especially social media, on YouTube, on TikTok. A lot of people are talking wholesaling. This is something that's been done a lot of. Here's the bottom line with wholesaling. I think we're going to be coming into a time where if you can learn this skill, it's not going to be necessarily something that you're going to be able to crush. I mean, there's always opportunity for it if you're willing to go out and put the legwork in, but there's going to be a lot more opportunity for it as the recession and the potential depression comes, right? We're talking about 3 tax deeds, right? We can do tax deeds. Another great way to create leverage. You can have a less amount of money. If you don't have enough money to put down on a property, you can get a little bit of money to go a long ways. Overages, same thing, right? The question is, and here's the deal. The question is, what are the problems that we're going to be needing to solve, right? So when I think about real estate, what do I think about? Like my wife just did a thing, and she's a real estate agent. She runs a luxury real estate team here. Now, as interest rates, let's think about it. What are we doing? Discover problems that you can solve. Well, in the luxury market, what is the problem? Problem is interest rates. I'm just going to do a percentage sign. They're going up, right? So if interest rates are going up, what does that do? That puts buying pressure on the property, right? Because people don't necessarily qualify for the mortgage. Because remember, people don't qualify. And if you're a real estate agent, you're going to want to know this one. People don't qualify for their house based on the fact that it's $1 million. People qualify for this house based on the fact that it's $6,000 per month, right? Let's just say that, right? Like that's how people qualify for their house. But now what happened was when mortgage rates went from 4% to 6%, now all of a sudden that $6,000 a month doesn't buy you a $100,000 house. That $6,000 a month maybe buys you a $800K house, right? So now what's happening is people with a $6,000 a month going for this $1 million house. It's all about cash flow. So what the problem is how do they qualify? How do they get into the house that they want? Are they willing to wait for the market to come to them? Do you just wait it out? Or maybe because we've gotten in the fact that concessions are now being given to buyers again, and we're getting back into that market where there's not 20 offerings, above cash offers, above asking price on the property. We're getting into the place where we got to figure out and get a little bit more creative on the concessions. And so we could say for this house, if we're selling this, if she's, if she's representing a buyer and that buyer's trying to sell this $1 million house and she doesn't want the price to drop, obviously in the buyer, it's the opposite of this. But if she's representing the buyer and they're trying to say, hey, listen, you're going to have to drop your housing price to $800,000 to be competitive. This is a really extreme example. It's probably not going to work exactly like this, but you get the principle. What if we went down and we said, hey, what if it costs, they're going to finance it, and for two points, we can buy this, we could buy this mortgage down for a fee, and maybe it costs you $2,000 for every $100,000 to pay it down, and let's say they got to put 20% down, so you're actually financing the $800,000, the rest is equity. Well, that's a $16,000 concession. Instead of having to drop your housing price by 50 to 100,000, you're able to help them with their financial terms, work with the lender, do that kind of stuff. Now all of a sudden you identified a problem, which is just cash flow and getting into the house. Now you're able to have your seller do a little concession, help them on the mortgage so they could still get the house that they want and qualify for this 4%, because you can buy it down from 6% to 4%, and you can do stuff like that. So it's that kind of thing. Like that's how I want you to be thinking now, is really do the education, invest in your skills and knowledge. That is number one. You need to invest in your skills and knowledge and understand what the potential solutions are. Understand the playing field so you can be aware of what the problems are. And when you discover those problems, you want to be able to solve them. And then when the time is right, go out and solve them. So my question is, what are you doing right now? What problems do you and your skill set solve based on your industry, your skill sets, your passions, like whatever it is? What do you think is going to change? Because stuff is going to change. The economy is going to change. The opportunities are going to change. The environment is going to change all the way around. And what looks normal today is not going to look normal 6 months from now, right? And so where the opportunities are now is not going to be where the opportunities are 6 months from now. So we can't play checkers. We need to play chess. We need to be thinking ahead of this. We need to be getting ahead of the curve and thinking about this. So my question to you from a real estate perspective, because I know there's a lot of real estate investors that watch this channel. My question to you is, what do you think the biggest problems are going to be, and what skills and expertise do you need to be able to solve those problems, and what do you need to do to prepare yourself between now and then? And if you don't understand real estate, if you're not a real estate investor currently and you haven't gone that direction, my encouragement to you is to get in here, invest in the skills and knowledge, learn the playing field. If you don't know it yet, learn the playing field, get to understand the playing field, then you can then go out and discover the problems that you go to solve, and then you go down that process, and you can find maybe there's 5 or 6. There's other ways that you can help people, other problems that you can solve. There's all sorts of different things. Think about all the problems that fixers, the flippers of the world, housing flippers are going to have with the industry. Like, what challenges are they going to run into? How could you help them solve a problem? There are so many different ways to invest in real estate. There's so many different types of businesses that are going to have different problems. I'm going to just throw another one out there. Dentists, housing, HVAC systems, stuff of that nature. No matter what it is, any kind of service-based business, your ability to understand that maybe things are going to slow down in your market because free and clear cash flow is going to go down. So what can you do to understand how you can differentiate yourself from your competition? Maybe it's a financing issue. Maybe if you could figure out how to create creative terms to be able to make it so the barrier to entry to be able to work with your clients is not as hard, right? Whereas your competition is going to be slower to pivot. If you could be ahead of that curve, you can gobble up market share. It's just an idea. So anyway, I'd be curious to hear about what your thoughts are as far as where do you think the greatest opportunities are going to be in the economy? Where do you think the biggest problems are going to be? And what problems and solutions are you going to be able to provide people at that point in time? I'm curious to know this for my own education on what people are thinking is going to be happening here in the future, because I'm telling you, this is if you don't invest in yourself and get ahead of this, you're going to be left behind. You can either thrive through this or you can suffer through this this coming transition that we're going through in the economy. I hope you thrive. So if you have any questions, comment in the comment section below. If you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button, click the bell, that way you get notified every time I launch a new video. Until next time, have a blessed and inspirational day. We'll talk soon. See ya.